The Mictlampa, one of the cardinal points that divided territorial and imaginary space in many pre-Hispanic cultures. When we speak of Mictlan, we are obviously using a Nahuatl word, which refers specifically to the culture that spoke that language at the time. One of its most precise translations tells us that Mictlan is the place of rest or place of silence, rather than the commonly known interpretation as the place of death, although indeed it is partly related to death, as we will see next. As usual among these cultures, there exists the concept of duality, and therefore this direction complemented the opposite cardinal point. Mictlampa was associated with the northern direction of what is now Mexico. If we take the center of the country or Tenochtitlan as a starting point, this direction would be to the north, toward what they then knew as La Gran Chichimeca, and even beyond. Today we know that a large part of northern Mexico consists of several states with vast deserts, and perhaps that explains why they believe that this direction was associated with death or silence, since, obviously, in the desert we find less life than in the south. In places such as Oaxaca, Yucatan, Chiapas, etc., where vegetation and therefore life are abundant. Thus, we find a duality in the south. Life predominates in the north, death and the silence of the desert. Of course, we know this is not entirely accurate, as farther north, in parts of the United States and Canada, there is plenty of vegetation and food. So, perhaps their knowledge of the continent was somewhat limited. Therefore, the apparent scarcity of life in these desert regions of present-day Mexico led them to associate the desert with death. But, as we know, many groups actually flourished in these regions, being collectively referred to as Chichimeca groups. Nevertheless, that association of the desert with harsh conditions led to the north being designated as the place of silence. It is known that, at least among Nahua peoples, especially the Mexica, there was a belief that the way a person died determined where their soul or essence would go after death. Thus, Mictlan was, according to their worldview, the place where most people went after dying. There were other places at other cardinal points. Women who died during childbirth went to the west, Mictlampa. Unborn children went to Chichihualcalco. Warriors who died in battle went to the east, Tlahuistlampa. Those who died from causes related to water went to Tlalocan. But Mictlan was where everyone else went, those who did not meet specific death conditions. That is why most of the dead ended up in Mictlan, as the other destinations were more exclusive based on the cause of death. The sky above us was also divided into two parts, with two kinds of the stars. In the south, there are the countless southern stars, siblings of Huitzilopochtli. In the north, we find countless northern stars, called Mimiskoatl, or cloud serpents, associated with Mizcoatl, the cloud serpent, and the Milky Way. And of course, those who rule over Mictlan are Mictlantecutli and Mictecacihuatl. Additionally, there is another ruler among the four Tezcatlipocas, this one being the Black Tezcatlipoca. This is due to the fact that the North Star lies close to the point in the sky where Earth's axis of rotation points, what is now known as the celestial North Pole. As the planet rotates throughout the night, the stars around this point appear to cycle the sky, and some associated this star with Tezcatlipoca. Naturally, since it's located to the north, Tezcatlipoca rules this direction, and the color black was assigned to the north. But the matter of the north and Mictlan and Mictlampa is not so simple. In fact, there are two Mictlans within the 7 prehispanic directions. If we speak of Mictlan as the place of rest, as previously mentioned, one lies to the north, but the second is beneath us, consisting of 9 levels. When the sun sets in the west, it and the other celestial bodies descend to another Mictlan below, which also had various names such as Mictlan or Xibalba in Maya tradition. Therefore, if we refer to the surface we walk upon, we can say that Mictlampa lies to the north. But in truth, there are two Mictlans, one to the north and one beneath us, through which the sun must die and travel across 9 levels before being reborn each day in the east. There is still evidence of this northern association with Mictlan, for example the large clay figures found years ago in the House of the Eagles in Tenochtitlan, representing Mictlantecutli. The Mexica placed these figures facing north in their structure. And according to their 20 days of the month, which we see in the center of the misnamed Aztec calendar, they assign 5 of these days signs to the north: Ejecatl, wind; Miquistli, death; Itzcuintli, dog; Ocelot, jaguar; Tecpatl, flint blade. And of course, these symbols make sense. Wind, according to myth, are the winds that cut our bodies like obsidian blades in Mictlan. Death, naturally, is found in Mictlan. The dog guides the souls through Mictlan. The jaguar is another form of Tezcatlipoca and also represents the starry wind. The flint blade ends the breath of life at death, as shown in the codices. Thus, darkness, death, rest, the disappearance of earth, essence, and inner journey are the attributes of the northern direction. Therefore, we now know the place where most of us will go, unless we have an exceptional death: Mictlampa, the direction ruled by Tezcatlipoca.